Luke and Susie with you for Faith, Family Culture, and we love catching up with our next guest because she inspires us to get organised, but has got some great strategies available to help us do that in a way that works for us and for our family, whatever our family circumstance is. Her name's Bonnie Black. She's Little Miss Organised, and she's all set to join us, Luke.
Well, and it's interesting, Suze, because so often we talk about some stuff, and if this is the help that you need and you're not really on it, it can sound like, oh yeah, that's utopia. But you've got to be able to duck and weave with the punches as they're coming through. And Little Miss Organised has had to do that herself recently and understand what the future looks like. And we're going to explore how to stay organised under the pressure.
Spring cleaning, it's a sick, disgusting job. Sick, disgusting job, but it's gotta get done.
A very personal subject for you right now. Little Miss Organised Bonnie Black is our guest right now. And Bonnie, there's been a diagnosis for your 4-year-old, which is, I guess, the centre of this conversation, and one that is a very worthwhile one for us to have to understand that things aren't always easy, but we've still got to be able to take control somehow.
Yes, that's right. So my 4.5-year-old has been diagnosed with ADHD and DCD, which is a developmental coordination disorder. And the last probably 6 to 8 months have been particularly trying for our family as behaviours have kind of escalated, and we've sought lots of help from different professionals to try and work out exactly what has been going on. And obviously when you add in COVID and then you add in selling your house, moving house, new businesses, it has been a really tricky time. So I was really grateful that on the Little Home Organised podcast, we were able to have a chat a few weeks ago with a world expert on ADHD, and the episode will come out later in October, about how to help kids with ADHD, because the last kind of 4 months has been a crash course in learning all about it.
But in a sense, I imagine you do have a bit of a head start on a lot of people, in that surely it must help someone with ADHD to have some sort of organisation and structure in the home.
Oh, it definitely does. And kids in particular, whether it's ADHD or ASD or something else, they really get overwhelmed with too much choice. It's a bit like if we go out to a restaurant and there's 40 meal options, we as adults even feel overwhelmed, and it's far easier for us to have 6 or 12 options. So yes, it is much easier for our kids to have a more clutter-free environment, to be able to find what they need, because it's some of the traits of ADHD is that when the kids are not medicated, their frontal lobe capacity decreases by 30%. So my daughter is actually operating at a 3-year-old level in terms of her impulsivity and her decision making. Right. And so you add that in with a coordination disorder where things are really difficult for them to do, and the even simple task of folding clothes and putting things away becomes really hard. So we've had to really lower our expectations because she's the middle child and the older child can do a lot of things, and we've had to really step in beside her and kind of support her at her level, rather than expecting her to rise up.
So in some ways we can often be take it easy on yourself, but you're Little Miss Organised. You've got to stay organised, and you've got to have a house that is in function. That's who you are. And yet there's greater challenges, there's greater exhaustion, there's greater obstacles for you to be able to do that. So where's the line between letting it go and letting some form of disorganised happen, and actually making it organised and being obsessive about it?
That's a really good question, because I'm very well known for being more on the particular side of things and liking things the way that I like them. I think since having kids, I've learned to let a few things go, because when you're pregnant and you're tired, or you've got a newborn, you're pretty emotionally tapped out anyway. Yeah. But I think the last 6 months has really shown me how much more important it is to let that stuff go and don't sweat the small stuff. And the relationship's more important with your child than having a beautiful home. So it's kind of about compromise and sacrifice on both sides of the coin, because you don't want a child to grow up who's anxious and has low self-confidence because you're constantly harping on at them to tidy up. And when you say tidy up to a child with ADHD, their brain explodes. It's like, what's tidy up? What does that mean? Yeah. It's far easier for you to say, okay, we're finished with the Duplo now. We're going to pack it up together, and then we're going to move on to craft.
This is a massive conversation, and that's why it's well worth to explore the Little Home Organised podcast. Bonnie Black, Little Miss Organised. There is so much we can touch base on, and we probably should come back onto this and dealing with, keeping your home under control, especially with challenging needs in the family. But thank you for your time for now.
Thank you for having me.